I'm going to call the meeting to order, the 150th meeting of the Directors of MSAD 27. Roll call.
Christine Thibodeau is not here. Shannon Lugden is not here. Joe was in.
Here.
Donna Pelletier.
Here.
Tanya was in.
Here.
Toby's not here. And Rory.
Here.
And our student reps are not here.
No. All right. Any adjustments to the
I
agenda?
have no adjustments.
All right. Any public participation? Is there anyone signed up to talk?
No.
Nope. Approval of minutes for meeting 9:49.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Approval of financial statements. We just have the August 2025.
And that final column, like Lucy explained last time, it's showing an error because we don't have an adopted budget.
Okay.
Yep. No, you can't divide by 0.
Nope, you can't. All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? We have a presentation.
I have asked Ms. Jill Kelly and Ms. Leslie Marquis to speak to the board on our federal title funding and the overview for SAD 27. Jill works on the Title I funding, and she'll explain what that is, and Leslie works on the Title II and all the fundings. Super easy to apply for these. Just
I'm
kidding.
sure. I'm sure.
It's a lot of work, and we appreciate not only getting the funding, but the work that Jill and Leslie do with it. And the reason that this is a timely presentation is Congress is trying to pass their budget for FY26, and title funding is something that's on the chopping block for the House and on the increase for the Senate. So how that's all going to play out is definitely going to impact us. So thank you both for being here.
Yep. So I'll talk first about the Title I funds. So the Title I funds, the federal funds, and they're used to ensure like it's extra support for students, like a Tier 2 intervention to help students academically. We also have, there's a little bit of money, usually $100 we put towards students who are identified as being homeless. So if a child comes here, and we have a McKinney-Vento liaison who will let us know if they're homeless, but we can provide different things like school bags, school supplies, if they need sneakers for Zed. But we only have $100, but usually that's what the money goes towards. We also have to put in our grant family engagement night. So we provide information at like open house events, parent-teacher conferences, and we have Title I newsletters. We'll do like an annual bingo for books. Last year we had, and this year again, we're doing the pre-K, grades pre-K to 1, like a literacy night. We'll have like pizza and invite families to come in, and we try to teach, try to give them different activities that they can do at home for literacy. And then, of course, the majority of the funds goes towards paying for ed techs. We have 3 ed techs at the Horton Elementary School who are Title I ed techs, and 1 teacher who does a Title I. And they do provide instruction for reading and math instruction. They do push-ins, they do pull-out. Any students that are identified as needing extra in order to make the gains that they need. And the grant also has goals that we have to put in that we're going to meet, like if what percentage we're going to increase every year. And actually our scores, it's working. Like you can see the changes that we're making. Money also goes to Valley Rivers Middle School to pay for 1 ed tech. So we try to put the money towards the younger students, hoping that we can catch those kids while they're younger, and 1 ed tech there is a little bit of money built in for the overseeing of the grant. It's to write the grant. It is to provide like do the documentation, make sure the money is being spent correctly, coordinate professional development activities that we need, any funds, any materials that they need as well. I'm trying to think what else. If we no longer had Title I funds, we would have to, I'm not sure, with Tier 2 intervention, we would really have to work hard to figure that out because we would lose our ed techs that are doing that crucial part of trying to close the gap for some students. And then, of course, the children who are identified as homeless, we would no longer have the funds to support them. And we could probably still have our family engagement nights, just without the pizza and without any prizes. But I think that biggest piece would be the Title I teacher and the ed techs. That would be very, very difficult to not having them. Hopefully, it doesn't get to that point. So I'll let Leslie take over with the other titles.
Yep, so I manage Title IIA and Title V as well. So Title IIA is about educator effectiveness, just teacher improvement, teaching improvement. Two major areas that this money kind of funnels into is our instructional coach at the elementary school. She is doing some great work. So this year she is on a coaching cycle with teachers, meets with teachers, kind of looks at data, and then plans some of their implementation of different practices in the classroom. This year she's aligned it with the sciences. So the elementary school has their SMART goal is to improve science scores and focus on science. And so her role this year is really focused on science instruction and improvement in science instruction. So that's a huge portion of the title funds go to that. And then the second part in terms of educator effectiveness is our leadership teams. So we have a leadership team district-wide. We have a couple of representatives from the high school, one from the middle school, and then a few from the elementary school. And so every year they're tasked with creating SMART goals. They look at their teachers for their thoughts and recommendations for goals for their school, and then these teachers then implement professional development and just kind of what is the plan for reaching these goals. So Title IIA money is also set aside to pay for those stipends as well. I don't know how heard of this is, but we actually received additional money for last fiscal year, which was really nice. We were notified about a month ago that we have a little bit of extra money, which was really good. So that's Title IIA. Title V is more for like rural education, student engagement, engagement in attendance of school, but also engagement in the classroom. So we use those in two different programs as well. Well, three actually. So our student transition program. So we have a link crew, which we've been running for almost 10 years now, where we transition 9th graders into the high school, and they have a student mentor. This year was our first year that we started web, where everybody belongs, and that was transitioning our 6th graders in. So the money pays for stipends and the resources for training the students every year. Also, it paid for some of the new advisors for Link Crew and Web to be trained all across the country for this program. That's the first thing, and that basically is our goal is to see an improvement in attendance and student belonging and climate. I really think in the high school level that we've seen a lot of culture and climate. I think this is a piece of that puzzle that have improved the culture and climate. So that's one piece. And then the second piece for Title V, similar to last year, we're doing a curriculum review for social studies K through 12, looking at what our curriculum is, looking for any redundancies and for gaps, and then sitting down K through 12. There's a representative from each grade level. We'll be looking at it, vertically aligning the curriculum, and then starting to look at, do we have any necessary resources that we need to start looking at to strengthen our social studies curriculum. And so that's where Title V comes into play as well. Total, I think this year it's like $65,000 that we get from Title IIA and from Title V. So it's a big chunk, and it would leave a big hole, unfortunately, if we lost that title funding.
And how much in Title I? What's our allocation?
210,000. Questions?
How many students get Title I services?
We're school-wide, which means it used to be in the past, maybe 7, 8 years ago, that only students who qualified, we qualify as a Title I student. School-wide means that everybody can have the service, so we do push-in.
Okay.
So they don't identify anymore, like how many students, anybody who needs it
Oh,
receives
okay.
it. If that makes sense.
Yep.
The Title I teacher does a really good job at facilitating a data wall, that where they look at the assessment data, and obviously the students are confidential, they're identified by number, but they can identify, you know, which students fall in certain categories where they'll need additional help. Obviously your special ed students are already identified, so they're getting their services, but those kiddos that, you know, are falling a little bit or are falling a little short, those are the target students in addition to the school ones. They do a really good job at that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, superintendent.
I just have a few items for you. The first one is early enrollment snapshot. So for our new board members, the month of October is DOE data month. For whatever reason, they have chosen the month of October to collect as much data as they can to compare from year to year. And October 1st is actually the official date where they look at enrollment counts for your district, and that's what they're going to base the subsidy that's going to come out next year in the winter, spring. That's what it's based on. Any students that we have enrolled before October 1, they're on our books, they're good. Anybody that enrolls out after October 1, it doesn't fall off our books as long as they were with us on October 1. So that's kind of the official date. So what I do every year is I show you an early enrollment snapshot comparing last school year to this school year. And I color code it in a way where you can follow the cohort. So last year's pre-K is in that orangish color. And if you go to kindergarten, it's the same color. So from 40 to 46, you'll see how the trends for each class are going. And you can also see some comparables that really matter. For example, we graduated, or at last October 1st, we had 55 seniors at that point in time. And then this year for October 1st, we have 38 pre-K. So you can see the discrepancy of who left us compared to who we enrolled. So that's our starting point. And then there's changes within the grade levels. So last year at this time, 811 students. This year, 801. I also gave you a snapshot of the last 6 years, so you can see the trend that's going. Last year we were kind of flat, only losing 1 student, but this year losing 10. So that trend is going down. Not quite as fast as originally projected when we had done the school enrollment studies. When we were looking at Olive Valley Unified, it was showing a sharper decrease, but this one definitely is impacted by the smaller enrollments in pre-K that we've had last year and this year. Typically our class sizes are in the high 50s, low 60s, and those 2 classes are just quite a bit smaller, as is our current grade 10. Total homeschoolers, last year we were at 62 at this time, and this year 56. That's gone quite a bit down over the past, since COVID. It's on a downward trend. COVID, it went really high. So hopefully that we can continue to engage our homeschoolers to either come back or at least come back in some capacity. If we can work with a homeschool family on, you know, music class or PE or even St. John Valley Tech, we're gonna work with them on partial enrollment, and we can capture part of the subsidy if they come to us for any part of the day. Superintendent's agreements are the only way that a resident student can go to another district, because the Maine does have a law that says you must go to school in the community where you reside, and the only exception to that is a superintendent agreement unless we have a tuition agreement. Superintendent agreements are usually given to the families that have employees of other districts. So there are quite a few families that live in Fort Kent and they work either in Madawaska or in 33. We allow some for that. Other than that, we'll do it if there's instances of bullying or if there's a program offered somewhere that another school district doesn't have, but that one's not popular. An automatic decline is, I want to go play soccer in that town. Denied. I want to play basketball in this town. Denied. We don't do it for athletics. Like I said, it's mostly to accommodate employees' families or to alleviate any bullying issues that may exist in their current school. So last year we had outgoing, that's students that reside in 27 going to either 33 or Madawaska. We had 10. This year we have 12. And then incoming, same as last year, 8 coming in from Madawaska or 33, same as this year. So that's our snapshot, and I'll take any questions you guys have about that. I think I did put in your notes. Yeah, of the 8 incoming agreements, 3 are for staff members of SAD 27 that live in either 33 or Madawaska. So we're trying to accommodate those families. I know this year there was 2 twins that were going to pre-K. Mom got hired in Madawaska, so we allowed that. We hired Laura Albert, who lives in Madawaska, and her little one is coming here. So it's a trade-off based on where you work. So that's the enrollment snapshot. Youth on the Allagash update. We did have a meeting, Mr. Doucette and I, along with the principal at Wisdom and Madawaska Middle High School. We met with Dan Dinsmore, who is the executive director of the Allagash Wilderness Waterway Foundation, Tom Gerard, who is their point lead on the youth on the Allagash trips. Leslie was there as well, both as our curriculum coordinator and as a member of the Allagash Wilderness Waterway Foundation team. And we're starting to plan for that 8th grade youth on the Allagash trip. That's going to happen next June. The goal of Allagash Wilderness Waterway is to beef up some information and also some engagement with the students. So pretty soon they're going to do a kickoff at UMFK. Leslie, correct me if I'm wrong with any of this. That's a business stakeholder kickoff where they're trying to get some energy into local funding. They have secured quite a bit of funding from donors to go move forward with this June trip, but for sustainability, they want to try to get some local fundraising efforts going. There was talk during this meeting about Allagash Wilderness Waterway coming up and introducing themselves to the students, possibly giving them a book or a guide or maybe even a t-shirt, doing that a couple times this fall, this winter, to kind of build up that momentum. Also working with the teachers on how we can build the curriculum capacity to touch upon what the students are going to be experiencing with this. The annual total trip, which is the Teachers on the Allagash Learning trip, happened right before harvest break, and there was a group there that worked with Leslie on brainstorming some ideas for that trip as well. So we're getting feedback from teachers. It's going to be pretty neat. We have decided to scale back. I think originally when it was pitched to you all, it was like, yeah, we're going to be on the Allagash for 5 days, and we all realized that's probably way too much. So day 1, Monday, is going to be an education day, probably going to the tech center, all the 8th graders there, and building some skills on how to build a tent, how to collect firewood, how to, I don't know, whatever life skills they're going to be learning on the waterway. Tuesday they head out, they sleep Tuesday and Wednesday night, Thursday come back. So it's a 2 overnighter, 3-day trip. And then Friday getting back together, possibly the tech center, and just celebrating and talking about what they learned and that type of thing. We're also looking at, for those kiddos that are not going to go on the trip, because we are realistic that not every 8th grader is going to be able to do this, having something that week for those 8th graders possibly shipping them to the tech center every day for skills that the kids in the wilderness are learning, but they're going to learn safely here with some guidance. So a lot to brainstorm, a lot to plan, but we're really excited about this, and I think it's really going to be a school trip that sets us really apart compared to other schools across the state, if not the country. So more on that as we hear more. That's all I have for you, and you have administrator reports from Mr. Doucette, Mr. Anderson, Ms. Jill Kelly, and Mr. Ricky Labby, and they are here if you have questions for them. Jill, you gotta love being selected for monitoring. And that's gotta be the biggest gift.
Two more letters, Winterville and Allegan.
Yeah.
Working on the what can I go back?
All right, well, we'll go to committee reports.
We had a policy committee meeting last week. Toby and Lori were both there. And we looked at some policies. You have them listed there for you. I'm going to take you through what we looked at for each of them. This is a first read, so typically this is where you just get to see what's being proposed, take these back with you, and then come to next meeting with questions or concerns before we adopt them. Some of these are very easy, so it'll be pretty simple. The first one is EVAA, chemical hazards. You'll see that the majority of the policy is untouched. There's only a cross-reference that's been added, and that's the comprehensive emergency management plan that you approved last meeting. That should be referenced in this chemical hazards policy. So real simple addition of a cross-reference on that one. The second policy is EBBD, temperature standards for school. The Maine legislature just passed a law saying that Maine schools need to adopt a temperature standards for school policy. It does not say anything about how to govern that other than bringing it to the local school board for some debate and talk about it. Maine School Management put out a template, boilerplate. That's what we have here. That was developed by Maine School Management that sets some standards for schools. It talks about a comfort zone for teaching and learning between 68 degrees and 82 degrees. So that's what the template is establishing as a comfort zone. If you look on the fourth paragraph, you'll see a blank. So when temperatures in the building as a whole or classroom or other occupied spaces exceed the maximum comfort zone by blank degrees, schools are expected to take practical measures to relieve the heat discomfort, such as blank, blank, blank. What we have to do is establish a degree that we would exceed the maximum heat. Toby recommended 5 degrees. So if it's 5 degrees colder than 68 or 5 degrees warmer than 82, so essentially that extends your comfort zone from 63 to 87. That would be practical. And to be honest, if it's 82 degrees, we're already going to be doing some things like turning on fans and making sure, we're probably shutting the windows because it's probably warmer outside and we don't want to bring in the. I will say we put heat pumps upstairs here. When did we put those, Mr.?
This is around COVID.
It was a COVID effort. And this building, it cools the entire building. So this building did not reach 82 degrees once, even on the hottest days this year. So that's really helped. The elementary school is not a two-story building. It will get a little bit hotter there. But luckily for us, we don't see a whole lot of high temperatures. Cold temperatures, most of the time that we see cooler temperatures is usually around this time of the year where you're not sure if you should be heating or if you shouldn't be, because today it was 80 outside, and tonight's probably gonna be 32. So it's really difficult. So it might be colder in the morning when you arrive, but we adjust accordingly. So this is just a template, boilerplate. The recommendation for that blank is 5 degrees. And during our next meeting, we can talk more about what your thoughts are. But by law, we have to adopt some kind of temperature standard. EBCC, emergency evacuation drills. It was previously titled fire drills, so you see both of those. Current policy is fire drills, and the proposed policy is emergency evacuation drills. Obviously, fire drills are not the only emergency drills that we have, so it necessitates a reason to change it. This, again, is the boilerplate offered from Maine School Management. It talks about, in addition to fire drills, lockdown drills, bus evacuation drills, and these are all drills that we have to do by law. Each administrator here has a spreadsheet shared with them where they have to track all of their evaluation drills throughout the school year. For Fort Kent Elementary, they need 10 because of the age of the students. 10 evacuation drills of the building plus 2 bus evacuation drills. And for CHS VRMS, it's 8 with 2 evacuation of bus drills. So they track that, and when they're falling behind, I nudge them and remind them, and usually we take advantage of the nice weather at the beginning of the year and then the spring weather. Haven't had an old-fashioned winter blizzard evacuation drill. I don't know that we want to go there, but we would be ready, I hope, if that would happen. So again, eliminating fire drill and adopting emergency evacuation drill is the recommendation. EBCD, school closing and cancellation. So this has some guidance on how the schools are closed for cancellation. Our current policy is very strict. Decisions to the school day should be made no later than 6 a.m. I have canceled school later than 6 a.m. when we get notification from the police that there's a shooting somewhere and it's later than 6 a.m. I'm canceling. We've had rain during the morning commute where it's frozen on the roads, and we've canceled at that point in time. So I've added to that opening paragraph, unless other extenuating circumstances require a later decision. So that gives a little bit of flexibility for me to do so. In the third paragraph, we do a school messaging system alert. That's how we message most parents, and we do some media announcements still. We will notify Channel X, and we will notify WAGM still. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth paragraph, it's in accordance with Maine law of how we make up school days if we do cancel. Essentially, Maine requires 175 school days. If we cancel more than 175 days, we have to make it up somehow, and the law allows you to obviously make it up on a day where school wasn't planned. You can do it on a weekend if the school board approves, or you can do it in increments. Like some school districts will extend their student day by an hour for 6 days, so that 6 hours counts as a day. We've never had to do that since I've been here. I don't know if ever historically. Typically, we just make them up in June. We've also traded off with workshop days. If there was a workshop day, we make it a student day so it doesn't impact the length of the year for the students. So we get creative with it. I've also asked the commissioner in the past to waive some of our required days, and those have been granted based on, there was a B&M apartment shooting. I asked for that to be waived, and that was waived. I think there was one with a water line here on Pleasant Street that was also waived. So we do have some flexibility with the DOE, but those are the small adjustments being recommended to that policy. Policy EEA is currently called Transportation Services Management. The recommendation is to, well, first of all, the policy is currently coded EE, and it should be EEA, and the policy should be titled Student Transportation Services. It talks about why we transport students, and for reasons that we will go exceptions beyond we're pretty reasonable here at SAD 27 for the most part. Students don't have bus stops. There's a couple of bus stops in the community. Other than that, it's pretty much a door-to-door service. But in the event that we don't have a door-to-door service, there are some exceptions to why we would do that. Health should be added as one of them. It is not currently in there. Children are required to walk for a reasonable distance. I don't believe we even uphold that because I've seen children picked up on Pleasant Street. So I think we're pretty flexible with that as well. Pre-K should be added in that part C because we do transport pre-K students. And then we've added an item G for hazardous walking conditions. If there's hazardous walking conditions, there probably is hazardous driving conditions too, but it's recommended that we put that in there. So that's the recommendations there. GBO, Family Care Leave Policy. This is just to make sure that we are in alignment with Maine's Family Care Act. So it does outline what's available, and we've made some small edits due to the changes that have happened since the last adoption of this, which was 2005. So you can see the changes in Part C there. We do have our earned paid leave now, so that's being mentioned as well. So all of those have been applied in this policy. And that's just to align us with Maine law. GCI, Professional Staff Development Opportunities. Some small language recommendations throughout that one, and then the legal reference has changed, so that also has been updated as well. Compulsory attendance, JEA. Last year, that changed from 7 years old to 17 years old. Now it is 6 years old to 17 years old. And then there's also an attendance of 5 years old. So you're not required to send your child to school at 5 years old, but if you do, if you are a parent that chooses that, they now become part of the compulsory attendance. So once you enroll your child, then they can be truant, and they can be, they have all the same exceptions. Some parents choose not to send their 5-year-olds and only start them at 6. That's their choice. But if they start them at 5 years of age, they will follow the compulsory attendance law. It does have some language about what kind of absences are excused and what the parental responsibilities are as well. This was all in there, but it was like kind of disjointed, so we've just kind of reorganized. It also had, it outlined like all of the law provisions on what are some alternatives to attendance in public day school. Essentially, if you don't go to public day school, you have to homeschool, or you're in private school, or I think that's it, private school, homeschool, or some other arrangement between the board, and I don't know what that would be, but we don't have to outline like the law references. So that's why you see all of those cross-outs there on the second and third page. Those just reference the law. So that is the recommendations for our compulsory attendance. Student use of electronic devices. Maine also passed a law that says that school boards will review their student use of electronic device policy and make sure that their school unit is following said policy. We have a policy that is pretty much being brought to you exactly the same as it currently is. We've added smartwatches to some examples of electronic devices. Those were not on our radar in 2017, they are now. Some clarification in Part C on cameras. Camera devices may not be used to photograph another person in any locker room, restroom, or any place where others have reasonable expectation of privacy. In all other locations, permission must be granted before photographing another person. Aside from that, everything else is the same. One thing that I will note in this policy, item D, electronic devices are prohibited during class time. This is currently in policy, and it's not a new recommendation. Also, Part E, the use of electronic devices is authorized during lunches for community high school students only. These are 2 points that we're gonna need to really hone in on and focus on if we're going to follow this policy. It does give the right for students to use electronic devices as tools if they have permission in advance. An example is, you know, if Mr. Pelletier in his phys ed class wants to go geocaching, and they download the geocaching app where they can go look for their geocaches, that would be something that I believe, you know, would be a reasonable expectation to use your electronic device, unless you have an old-fashioned GPS thing, but it's a lot more fun with the app. So that's an example. Or if there's QR codes that need to be quickly scanned. It's kind of clunky with a laptop to do it, so scan it with your phone, that's another example. But students using their devices in classroom A and not in B, we can't have those discrepancies. We really have to have the policy followed and make sure that we're doing right by it. So this is our policy. If you have any recommendations for next time of things you would like added to it or adjusted, please bring those.
Well, it says about it at lunchtime, the high school kids can have it, but not the middle school kids?
The middle school, it's just the high school. That's what it says.
Some places, no one can have it, right?
There are schools with, I mean, this has gone from one extreme to the other. So you have schools that have reasonable use policies that are a little bit more flexible than this. Then you have ones like this, which says basically you can't use them in class. This doesn't clarify whether or not students should be using them between class. That might be something we want to talk about. But I know that if you're going to hold students accountable during class time and they have 2 minutes to get to class, they're going to want to check their messages. Maybe that's the trade-off that we're giving them, you know, between classes. There are schools with a zero tolerance policy. Those are hit or miss depending on how staff abide by that. And again, that tends to lead to a divide in the staff where, you know, that teacher's a little more flexible and that one's a rule follower. You know, that's pretty hard. And then there are schools now that have gone the extreme where they are checking in cell phones every morning in a Yonder pouch or another device where they're locked and the students cannot access them till the end of the student day where they are unlocked. Several school districts in Maine have adopted that. I know Bangor recently did, as well as RSU1 and a couple of other schools. I'm going to the Maine School Management Fall Conference, not next week, the week after, and one of the superintendents is presenting on the success of those Yonder pouches. So I'm going to go attend because I'm interested. And I'm also interested in how much parent pushback they got. Because we've all talked about how some parents will demand that they can communicate with their child throughout the day. So it's a tough one.
But I think if teachers are all on the same page and consistent, where they all say no phones during class time, then it's 100% easier.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they also, the kids also know the teachers they can do it with and they can't get
Yep.
do it with.
And that's the same in everything. That's like recess duty, right? Which teacher can I hang upside down on the monkey bars and which can't? You know, we have to have consistency.
Yeah.
It has to be.
No, absolutely.
So that's the purpose of the policy. All right, policy KI, visitors to schools. This is a total rewrite, so you have the current KI and then the recommended KI. We're in a time where yes, we want visitors to come to school, but also yes, we want to make sure that our grounds are safe. Fort Ken Elementary is a big draw for community members to go walking around the building. You know, if you go on weekends, people are walking around the building, and it's great. During the school day, it's distracting and it's concerning sometimes, especially when there are animals with them, you know, large dogs, and recess is about to go out, you know, or if it's somebody that we don't know who they are. So we want to be able to have a policy in place where it provides the principals, the administrators with leverage to be able to go talk to folks and say, hey, listen, school ends at this time, can you come back, you know, when school's not in session. So a little more comprehensive with this policy. So those are the ones we are recommending for first read for next time. We also have some policies that we're recommending to remove. The first one is EBBA-R, and this is a policy that talks about how we're supposed to respond to accidents. This is already in our comprehensive emergency management plan. We have responses to every type of accident. Like if it's a chemical hazard, you do this. If it's, well, now we have it, COVID, you do this. If you have a bus accident, you do this. So I don't think we need a policy for accidents when it's already in your board-approved emergency management plan. So that's the first one. Second one is EBCD-R1. So a while ago, I showed you a policy on closings, school closings, but they had these procedure policies that talked about specific things that need to happen, like we have to have a phone tree where the transportation director calls the principals, and then the radio stations, and then Kent Incorporated gets informed, and Northern Maine General gets informed. So we felt that that's not how we operate anymore. We do a school reach, everybody that's on our system gets notified, and it's a one and done. The third one is EBCD-R2. Again, this talks about how we reschedule days. That's in law. We have to follow law, and the policy I brought you a while ago references in accordance with law. So we don't need a procedure for that. ECA-BA, we have a policy on staff student identification procedures, and it says that all shall wear photographic badges. In the past, students could use these or would use these for lunch purposes. Every student eats for free now, so we're not going to get students to wear these if there's no point for them to wear them. Staff have to wear them or they're going to be locked out of the building, because this is now their key to access the building. So there's some incentives to wearing them or not, but I don't think we need a policy that says we all shall, because that's not a fight that these administrators are going to want to have with their students about wearing their badge. And for staff, if they don't, they're just going to be stuck outside. School bus idling is a law. It's not something that we need a policy for. This is set in transportation guidance. So anytime there's a law that we don't need a policy for, I recommend that we eliminate it. So, no action on the first 10 policies, but we should, I'm asking you to take motion on removing these 5 policies. That's recommended by the policy committee.
So moved.
And I'll second.
I just want to say policy work is my favorite.
So do we have any discussions regarding any of these policies? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh wait, should I have had done the recommended motion to say all those? No, okay. Oh, okay. Items of new business.
We have no retirements. We do have one resignation. You will see an email exchange with Mr. Anderson and Mr. Jason Webb. And unfortunately, Mr. Webb has indicated to Mr. Anderson that he would not be able to continue in his role as an educational technician, one-on-one support at the school, although he is looking forward to substituting in the capacity that he can. So we would need to accept the resignation from Jason Webb.
We need a motion to approve the resignation of Jason Webb.
I make a motion.
All right, need a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
We have nothing to rescind, we have no transfers, we have no new hires. So the only current opening that we have is that educational technician's one-on-one support. Am I accurate with that? The next item I have for you is substitute teacher wages. You'll see a notice from Maine School Management notifying us that on January 1, Maine minimum wage will be going to $15.10 an hour. So when we look at our substitute rate of pay, our substitutes work 7-hour days, and we pay a daily rate, and it's based on the category that they fall in. So our non-degree category was going to fall a little bit short of minimum wage. So the recommendation is to adjust all of the categories by $5, and that will make sure that we're in compliance until a minimum wage in Maine goes up to $15.71. Then we'll have to come back. So we're going to be good until $15.71. So your non-degree would be at $110 a day, associate's degree $115, bachelor's $120, retired or certified teacher $125. And Lucy did mention this at another board meeting that we had in 33 last week. These incentives that you see in the middle, where if you do a sub-skills training, which is an online training, you get $5 more above scale. If you have 40 days of cumulative substitute teaching, another 5. If you get to 80 days, another 5. This has really helped keep some of our free lunch for a substitute. It's really helped, and if anybody agrees to go sub in a district they don't live in, if we steal a sub from Madawaska, well, we'll even pay their mileage at 54 cents a mile. That doesn't happen a lot, but it's an incentive there anyway.
Can I just ask this question? There's nothing for master's degree?
No, we don't do it by educational, well, I see that we do, associate's, bachelor's, but no, we didn't, we never applied it to a master's degree. We just kept the highest category as retired or
So
certified
if you're a
teacher.
certified teacher, you get
Yeah.
$5 more.
Like if Donna comes back, oh, she's gonna get big bucks.
You too, Rory. We'll come back together.
Cool.
So that's the ask.
So we look for a motion to approve the proposed substitute teacher pay scale for 2026.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion?
I'm sure it's going to be the free meal that's going to really kick it into action.
Oh, seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Unanimous?
And then the last thing is your winter coaching approvals. You'll see the slate of coaches being recommended for winter sports. The majority of them are returning. Only those that you see in yellow highlighted are new coaches in that position. They may have coached before in one position or another, but they're new to that position if they're highlighted. Can I just say, Ben Parody, 42nd year
Wow.
returning as a Nordic Sea coach.
Holy cow.
That is not a typo.
And he can probably out-ski a lot of things.
That is amazing.
Wow.
And he's the assistant for, oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
All right, well, we're looking to approve the winter coaching recommendations for 2025, 2026. Anyone want to make a motion? Rory with the motion, second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? And that's it, that's all, so we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.